Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing my December reading wrap up, and I can't lie to you, December's been a bit of a mixed reading month for me. I finished 11 books, I DNF'd 2, and out of some of the ones that I finished, a few of them were maybe just a bit alright. So let's talk honestly about what did work, what didn't work, and why. So let's start with the first book that I read in the month of December, and that is Rewind It Back by Liz Tomford. This is the 5th and final book in the Windy City series, and honestly, absolutely loved it. Ate this up. This is like a god tier romance book series for me. I absolutely love the series. Highly recommend all of them. I do have 3 favourites, and Rewind It Back is one of them. Rated it 5 stars. We've got Hallie and we've got Rio. They were childhood friends to lovers, and then they split. Rio is a hockey player and he plays for Chicago. He is like full golden retriever energy, and the thing that I love about him and the way that this whole series is like all of the books in the series obviously focus on a different couple, but all of the different people within the series constantly come back in throughout all of the books. So we've met Rio before in I think pretty much all of the books that we've read so far, and to see him come into his own, I think it was more special because we had more of kind of like glimpses of him, and then we got to see him in his like shining light. I don't know, like, does that make any sense? Probably not, but it just made it more special for me. And I think the thing that I love about Hallie and Rio is that they just have this like cute, quirky relationship. They have these quirks, they grew up together, they do these little things as kids that they carry on doing through their entire adult life, and it's really cute to see them. And the meaning of the name of the book, Rewind It Back, is really sweet. And I'm basically just skirting around a load of things because I do not want to take anything away from you if you read this book, but honestly this is just really cute and I really highly recommend this one. Next we have The Dare by Elle Kennedy. This is the last book in the Briar U series, and this was just classic Elle Kennedy. Loved it. Again, hockey romance. This one is more of a college hockey romance. So we have the main couple who do not know each other. So the MMC Connor is a player. Then we have the FMC Taylor. She thinks that she is an ugly duckling. She feels like she has the body but she doesn't have the face, and she covers up because her entire life like she just basically is like ogled at, but she never really feels like people connect to her and that kind of thing. And so she has no confidence, hasn't really like had boyfriends and things like that. So they've had vastly different college experiences up until this point. She's being, I don't want to say picked on because I feel like picked on is the wrong word, but she's being picked on by somebody in her sorority, and so they dare her to ask Connor Edwards to go up to a room basically, and she does it. But what they don't realise is that they then embark on this whole fake dating situation. And I think the thing that I liked about this book, I mean I'm a fan of a fake dating trope anyway, and I love a hockey romance. This isn't heavily hockey though, I have to say, but the thing that I love the most is that the connection that Taylor and Connor have when they first meet. They like are amazing friends, and it's just one of the situations where they literally sit and chat for hours on end, and they just have this like chemistry, and you can feel that chemistry through the page, and I really enjoyed that. It was really good. So yeah, the only reason this didn't get 5 stars and went down to 4 is because there is 2 third act breakups. One of them is halfway through, but yeah, that's literally the only reason. But again, I really liked it, recommend it. Elle Kennedy is always a good one. The next book that I read was The NightBlood Prince by Molly X Chang. Now this one I actually started it on audio. This is the Fairy Loot edition, which I absolutely love. It is stunning. But I started to listen to this on audio, and for some reason, for books that are kind of like Chinese mythology I struggle to connect to them more than, say, like lots of fantasy books have words that you can't pronounce and that you can't say. Names, places, like magic systems, but you come up with something in your head. But for some reason, with Chinese-based books, I struggle with that even more so, to the point where sometimes it does kind of put me off them a little bit. And I can't really put my finger on why that is. I don't know if it's like, yeah, because I have absolutely no idea how to say it. I don't really understand it. I don't know if anybody else feels that. So I went into this with kind of low expectations because I thought that it would kind of be a similar thing. I was actually quite pleasantly surprised with this book. Yes, I did have that same trouble. However, this is about an empress who she's fated, or there's a prophecy that she's going to be the empress of all empresses. I don't know if that's the right way of saying it, but basically she's going to be like the head honcho empress. And there is this prophecy that it's known that she is going to be, you know, this thing. Wow, I'm really good at explaining things. Bear with me. She's decided that she doesn't want that life for herself. She wants to be able to pick who she wants to marry. She wants to decide what she wants to do with her life, because she's such an important person where they live. Like, she basically has no like autonomy over her life. She has to stay in one place. She can't leave. She is destined to marry a particular person who she has to be faithful to, but then he will go off and he'll have his wife, but then he'll have all of his, I don't know what the word for them is, but they're kind of basically like, you know, people that he sleeps with. And she didn't want that for herself. She wanted to be able to go and see her family whenever she wanted. She wanted to be able to travel if she wanted, and do all of these things. And she wanted love. Like, she wanted to be loved. She wanted to break those boundaries in her life, and she wanted more for herself, which I think is like a really good thing to want, and a great message from a book. The other thing though is that there is like a bit of a love triangle in this, and obviously there is action. There is a little bit of like a war that goes on, and so it was really good actually, and I really enjoyed it. And I did do a mix of audio and physical reading towards the end of it, and I will actually be reading the second one whenever it comes out, because I did really enjoy it. So yeah, I gave this one 4 stars. Really enjoyed this. Next we have Wisteria by Adeline Grace. This is book 3 in the Belladonna series and the conclusion to the series. This is a difficult one for me to kind of go into without spoiling like the other 2 books in the series, because they are a continuation from each other. But what I will say about this is that this is Blythe's book. So Blythe is a character that we meet even in Belladonna, like book 1. But books 1 and 2, so Belladonna and Foxglove, centre around Siona? Is it Siona? I feel like it's Siona. Could be completely wrong, but around a different character. This shows just how good my memory is. But yeah, it centres around the main character and death. We get to know Blythe as a character, but then there is a second character that's introduced in book 2, and yeah, there's things that happen between this book, and there's a lot of loose ends that get tied up at the end of this, and I really enjoyed them. Belladonna and Wisteria were my favourite books in the series. Foxglove wasn't my favourite. Yeah, gave this one 4 stars. Sorry book. I also got the US book covers. They're like little mini special editions. They're so cute. But I am actually selling these. I am moving these out of my collection. But yes, I did really enjoy the series, and I recommend if you want sort of like a gothic-y, romancy series where there's kind of like, I don't want to say magic because it's based on like life and death. So it's got fantasy elements, but it's primarily like romance based, and there's a bit of like, I don't want to say like, yeah, like murder mystery elements to it. It's not necessarily murder mystery, but those kinds of elements and how they feel. So yeah, it's kind of like a really interesting book series if you've not read anything like it before. Definitely recommend. I then went into The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, and I actually audiobooked and read this on my Kindle, and I gave this 5 stars. This book is incredible. Like, incredible. I was really nervous to go into this because I read The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna for a book club book, and I really didn't enjoy it. I actually ended up DNFing it, and I thought, oh god, is Kristen Hanna just not going to be an author for me? Oh my god. It's a book set around the war. It's set in France, and it's about the German occupation in France and just what life was like during that time. Obviously, it's a really hard-hitting subject, historical fiction about Germany, the French Jewish people, the Nazi occupation, and it's just a really powerful story, and I've legitimately just got goosebumps thinking about it. Like, if I could take my pants off and show you, I have goosebumps on my thighs. Wow, I never thought I would say that online ever, but I kid you not. Like, this story it was just amazing. Like, it made me feel shocked, it made me feel disgusted, it made me feel happy at points, it made me feel sad. Like, I had my heart in my mouth at points. That there was just so much going on. And like, there's a snippet of dual timeline, because the book actually starts in the future in one person's perspective, and you get a bit of that at the end as well, but then you go back in time for the middle section, or like for the majority of the book is that middle section. But yeah, it's just honestly incredible, and I've got another round of goosebumps again on my knees. Oh, it's just so good, and I highly recommend it. And I feel like this is where my month peaked in terms of reading. It peaked at Nightingale, and then this is where we go downhill. Kind of. This is where my book slump hit. I got in a really bad book slump, and I think yeah, it wasn't the one. We did have one good book after that. We read 'Tis the Season for Revenge by Morgan Elizabeth because I wanted to read some Christmas books. Not a seasonal reader, I don't normally read seasonal books. I wanted to try them and give them a go for a video. And 'Tis the Season for Revenge was amazing. Really loved it. Read it in like 2 days. It's not heavily set around Christmas, but yeah, we've got a revenge plot that obviously is just not going to go to plan. We just know that from the outset. It's just not going to go to plan. And it's just amazing, and the MMC is just so, like, it's an age gap. He's like quite a bit older than her, and it's just so good. The revenge is not against him, he is the revenge. And yeah, like it's just like such a healthy relationship, and honestly it was just so good. Really enjoyed that one. But then after that, I think I just hit a couple of really bad books that I didn't like. I also started to feel quite a lot of pressure over my TBR, and I found that that was something that was a big point in my kind of reading headspace this month, is that I've kind of started to figure out, as I've been thinking about my year in reading in 2025 and where I want to be in 2026, you know, I have such a large TBR that sometimes, you know, the pressure that I put on myself to read it comes from myself, it comes from nobody else. I'm just that kind of person where I want to read it, I want to get it down to 0 so that I have that freedom to be able to pick things up and read them when I want. And I know people could say, well, you do have that freedom because you can do that, but it's just something ingrained in my head. I'm like that with everything. I like writing a list and I like ticking everything off. I don't throw anything away unless I've used it all. Like, I am just one of those people, and books, I'm no different with them. I have a TBR that I just want to get down to 0. Obviously that's probably never going to happen, but I'd like it to be a more manageable number so I'm not feeling that pressure to read it. I do all of these challenges to try and get it down because I find them fun, and it's a fun way of me doing the thing that causes me pressure. And it's not those that are the problem. I think it's just this headspace that I'm in, and that mixed with a lot of pressure from other things. I think 2025 just hasn't been the reading year that I hoped it would be, and 2026 is where I want to move to, and I think this month kind of brought that to a head and made me realise that I'm not going to push through books that I don't like anymore. And even if they've been on my TBR no matter how long, if I don't like it, I'm not reading it. Simple. And the first book was The No-Show by Beth O'Leary. I DNF'd this. I actually DNF'd it quite a way in. I started audiobooking it, and most of the time I'll audiobook something if I think it's something that I may struggle with, or it's something easy, that it's really easy to audiobook. You don't have to kind of like really take a lot in. And so I decided to audiobook it, and even with that, it was just a no from me. So basically there's 3 FMCs within the book, and it's all centered around Valentine's Day, and it kind of makes out that there's this one guy that stood up these 3 girls on the same day, which you then automatically, and I'm saying specifically from the blurb because I don't want to kind of like give anything away, but this is the information that you take from here, is that he is maybe cheating on all 3 of these women, and he's a bit of a knob really, and that's the kind of insinuation that you get. And I got to about halfway, I think it was about halfway anyway, and that insinuation did not change. There was nothing changing about it. And because there was 3 FMCs that you were going between, there was no male perspective up until where I read, but there was 3 female perspectives. It's like it was washed down too much. I was going between people so much that I didn't connect to one of them or all of them particularly well, and I just, to be honest, didn't care. And so yeah, it was just a no. I did actually go back and I read a review on Goodreads that suggested that when you got to the end, it all wasn't what it seemed, and it was a really good concept. And so I actually researched the book, and it was a really cool concept, and I think for a lot of people they would love it. I just personally hate the cheating trope really badly, and even though this doesn't technically fall into that in terms of technicality, it read like that for a really long time, and I just got to the point where I was like, I'm just not reading this. It's just a no from me. So yeah, I DNF'd this one. We then went into a book called Secret Santa, which again was another one of my seasonal reads, and it was a thriller, and it was kind of a similar concept in that there were multiple people that you had perspectives from, and it was this woman had been murdered, and her group of friends they had this tradition where they did a Secret Santa, and the idea was that they were going to do a Secret Santa after she passed, and obviously there was something untoward, there was something happening, but we went through all of these different perspectives, and again I couldn't keep track of who was who, what was occurring. I just didn't really get invested. It kind of felt a bit slow and a bit boring to me, so again that was a DNF. And I think that's when the slump well and truly hit. like really well and truly hit. And that was the first time in, I think it was like 40 days that I actually didn't read anything for my 75 book challenge because the slump was just so bad, so bad. So I didn't do my full 90 minutes reading for 2 of the days in December. And then I decided I needed to try and get my shit together because it was actually putting me in a life slump. Like, that's how bad this month went. It's mad as well because we went from like the highest of highs at the start of the month with some amazing books and I was absolutely loving it, to then this feeling and just feeling like dead slumpy. So we got our shit together and we read another Christmas book called The Wishing Well. This is, again, it's just a Hallmark Christmas film in book form. Super Christmassy, super Christmassy. And there was this kind of magical realism aspect to it. And it's this small town in Montana that celebrates Christmas 24/7. And this journalist goes to kind of do a piece about it. And yeah, it was cute. I gave it like, what did I give it? I gave it 3.5 stars because it was kind of a little bit too Christmassy, but it was good overall. Then we went in with the last of the Christmas related books, which was Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey. And this book was set around the main female character who had just been released from prison and she wanted to be a window dresser and she happened to meet a guy and do her dream job. And I think the main thing that I took away from it was the second chance and being able to kind of reinvent yourself after something like that happened. And yeah, it was a good premise, a good concept. I think for me, I just really didn't see the main female character and male character together. Like, I just didn't get it. Yeah, it just wasn't like overly exciting or kind of gripping to me. You know, with a romance, you just get that feeling. Like with 'Tis the Season for Revenge and Rewind It Back and The Debt, I get that feeling and I'm like, oh my god, this is so good. Like, it makes me like a little kid where I like kick my legs and stuff. I just didn't get that, so I actually rate that one 3 stars. So again, we're kind of on the lower end of the month. I feel like we've finished kind of poorly, but yeah. Then we had 2 books that were actually books 2 and 3 in a series. So we have Exes Os by Amy Lee and The Catch by Amy Lee. And this is book 2 and 3 in the influencer series. So each of the main female characters are a certain type of influencer. The first book I think was a fitness influencer, but I literally read that years ago. But again, that was good. So Exes Os, you actually have a book influencer, which I thought was really cool. Like, I think she's got like a YouTube, they never say what it is, but it seems like it's kind of like a YouTube channel where she's obviously obsessed with books. And so she decides that she's on a mission to find her second chance romance. So she basically gets a list of all of her exes and she wants to go through them one by one and see if she can rekindle any of those kind of relationships. And she obviously is documenting it for her, let's call it a YouTube channel. And then she's just recently moved in with a guy and he's her roommate, and so they're friends, and so he's kind of like coaching her a little bit throughout the process and things like that. So I don't know, it's kind of cute. Like, I could relate to it because she's a book girly, you know? And obviously there's the whole roommate situation. I don't know, it was really sweet. I really enjoyed it. And she's got this like cute grandma as well called Flo, who was also ends up being like an influencer as well. I don't know, it was really cute. So yeah, really liked that one. I literally read that in 2 days, 2 sittings. And then I went straight into The Catch because I just wanted to finish that series off. And again, this is about an influencer, but this is a beauty fashion influencer. All 3 of them are related, by the way. So we've got the FMC and X's and O's is sisters with the FMC in the first book. And then their best friend is the FMC in The Catch. And she goes, like, her social media accounts, like, she's losing a bit of a following. Like, she's just not quite, she's very polished and very perfect, which was very much like the influencers of the past. And as she's moving into this new era of social media where people are being a little bit more transparent and, you know, not quite as perfect and polished and filtered and all that kind of thing, she's finding that her content is just not really doing what it needs to do anymore, and she's not earning enough money. And so she gets invited to this trip in Nova Scotia to this hotel that she can basically promote as a job, and there is a bit of a mix-up, and so she ends up in a random little town with nowhere to stay and goes to this only Airbnb that she can find, and there is this extremely grumpy lobster fisherman, and yeah, it's basically like they hate each other, like literally hate each other. But then something happens and there ends up being a fake engagement, which again, like I've said, I love a fake dating, fake engagement kind of situation, and it's just so good. And I think the thing I like about this book as well is the found family, because there are a lot of family related elements to this. So his family has some history and some shit going on, and then hers, she's adopted, her dad died, her mum left, she looked after her brother, and it's very much she has a very dysfunctional family, and then Evan has a dysfunctional family but in a different way. She basically finds this family and finds herself, having never really felt like she belonged anywhere. And I really liked that aspect to it. I think it was really good. I actually rated both of these 4 stars. I think this is a really solid romance series. If you like that kind of book, it will definitely be your vibe. And then I am actually currently reading 2 books. I know for a fact I won't finish one of them before this vlog comes out, or this video comes out, and that is The Women by Kristen Hanna, because yeah, I'm listening to that on audiobook and I really enjoy it so far. And then lastly, we have The Second Death of Locke by V.L. Bovolino. I have literally only just started this for book club, but I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to finish this, and I'll let you know what I think of it up here in terms of rating. But so far so good. It is very character driven, but it's about mages and wells, and about there's a captain who has a hand, and the hand is the well and has the magic, and they're basically linked. Sounds kind of complicated but kind of not, but that's what I've got up to so far. But what I'm kind of glimpsing is that there's something more between this captain and the hand, and that something is gonna happen, but we don't know what yet. Yeah, I'm hoping to finish that, and then if I do, like I say, I will let you know what I think. But those were my December reads. Like I said, very up and down, very all over the place. We started really high, we ended middle to end was kind of low. We're kind of hopefully on the up, and I'm really hoping that I can do a bit of a reset before January. Well, my camera died. What else do we expect? We know what I'm like at this point. But anyway, like I was saying, that we're going to reset and we're going to move into January feeling fresher, less pressure, enjoying the reading for what it is, and not trying to think too much about it. Just kind of going with the mood, with the vibes, you know, that kind of thing. If this is the kind of bookish space that you enjoy, then maybe think about clicking that subscribe button to join this little community. And if you got to the end of this video, we're gonna have to start thinking creatively about emojis at this point. But because it is the new year, I feel like we should have the shooting star emoji. We'll have that one. But yeah, let's hope 2026 is our reading year. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.